Buddy, it's finally time.
I know, Jimmy. It's time for another Salman Khan hit.
What?
Salman? He's back!
He is?
Oh, yes, he's back.
What's that? You gonna answer that?
Hello? Who do you want to speak to? Salman? Salman? Or Salman?
Yeah. Something's definitely rotten in the mental state of Buddymeister.
आपने धोखा दिया मुझे तू जाएगा या नहीं
Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage.
And I'm Deniz, the Buddymeister.
And it's our continuing pleasure to review one Indian movie each week. And if you want to get early information on what we're working on, or vote on the next picks, or choose a movie directly for us, you can now head over to our newly launched Patreon at patreon.com/thejimmycage.
And today we conclude Vishal Bhardwaj's Shakespeare trilogy with his 2014 movie Haider, that's for one based on William Shakespeare's Hamlet, but also an adaptation of Basharat Pir's book Curfewed Night, a memoir that's set amidst the insurgency in Kashmir in 1995.
Haider is a young student who returns to Srinagar in Kashmir at the peak of the conflict to seek answers about his father's disappearance and ends up being tucked into the politics of the state. Of course, as it is with Shakespeare, the actual plot is a bit more complicated than that, because there are a lot of interesting relationships and correlations between the characters.
While the original story of Hamlet takes place in Denmark, Haider is taking place in Kashmir in the mid-90s, a time of great insecurity and danger. We talked a little bit about the Kashmir conflict when we reviewed Roja, and since then, as it is known, it heated up again. Actually, only a few days after we put out our review, the Indian government revoked the special status or limited autonomy of Jammu and Kashmir, and at the end of October, the state of Jammu and Kashmir was split into two union territories, Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir.
Vienna is of course a long way from India and Pakistan, but we watched the flaring up of this conflict with great concern. It is mind-boggling that this dispute between India and Pakistan was sparked over 70 years ago and that it cost so many lives. We can only hope that the situation will somehow and sometime change to the better.
Yeah, what a conflict like that does to people, what it proliferates, how it grows branches in different directions can be seen in Haider, where an atmosphere of oppression and uneasiness obtains from the very beginning to the end. False crimes, disappearances, everything.
The atmosphere got hold of me right from the start. This constant threat of violence lurking behind every corner, paired with the hypnotic visuals of the snowy landscapes and the vastness of the country.
Haider is definitely Bhardwaj's most accomplished movie of the three Shakespeare adaptations.
For me, each part of the trilogy surpassed the former, and Haider is definitely my favorite one too.
I think the individual parts of the movie, all the technical aspects, the cinematography, the visuals, the characters, the acting, the dialogue, the music, they interlock, they engage with one another in a compelling way so that, as a whole, Haider becomes this very consistent and complete movie. And of course, this whole then becomes greater than the sum of its parts.
And one of the pillars of the movie is of course Shahid Kapoor. He delivers a great performance. A performance that changes a lot at the halfway point of the film. In the first half, Haider is this extremely determined man, this restless son who's trying to find his father. And then when he finds out about his father's death, he completely falls apart.
Yeah, the next time we see him, he has a shaved head and gives this performance in front of a huge crowd in the streets. He knows the truth, but he can't yet act on it. He is going mad and seeing things clearly at the same time. I love how Kapoor is able to show Haider's desperation and emptiness just with his eyes. It's like we're looking right through him, but then again, his eyes are saying so much.
Haider is traumatized and you never quite know if he knows what he's doing and knows what's going on, or if he's just a puppet that's used by other players. His mother Ghazala, his uncle Khurram, his love interest Ashia.
Or the two Salmans.
Or the two Salmans, yeah, we will talk about them in a minute.
But the interactions between the different characters that you just mentioned are great. And another aspect where Haider really shines. This is definitely an actor's movie. We get long, steady shots with a lot of dialogue, where emotions go up and down. Really challenging stuff, but everybody does a fantastic job.
The mother-son relationship between Haider and Ghazala is really intense. Tabu is again great as this Lady Macbeth-like figure that you just can't take the measures of. That's especially helpful in the second half of the film, where the runtime gets pushed a little bit and we basically already know everything there is to know, at least regarding the main story. And of course, for people familiar with Shakespeare's Hamlet, everything's quite clear from the beginning. But it's the great performances by Shahid Kapoor and Tabu and the icy atmosphere that keeps your interest nevertheless.
I think it's the same with Khurram, played by K.K. Menon. He's the villain, but then again, at least in some scenes, not a cruel or soulless person, or is he?
I'm actually a bit torn about Khurram, about the casting of K.K. Menon and the direction Vishal Bhardwaj went with. On one side, I wished it would have been more theatrical, more Shakespearean, more openly sinister and grand. Throughout the whole film, Menon acts very subdued and he doesn't seem to enjoy much of his power plays. I wish there would have been more emotions, more arrogance, more rage, more that really makes us hate his guts. It also wasn't that easy for me to believe in his and Ghazala's relationship or plot. I didn't feel much of what is binding them together.
Yeah, but I love that two-sided nature of him. He's another person that you can't assess. I wasn't even sure about Irfan Khan's Rudar, by the way. Hypocrites wherever you look. Who do you believe? Who tells the truth? What is the truth? K.K. Menon's rather quiet portrayal of Khurram fit this more realistic approach and the setting of the Kashmir conflict. I never felt completely sure what to think about him.
Yeah, that's true. That of course made him somewhat of a mysterious figure, I guess.
Now, what about the two Salmans?
At first I was wondering if these two really fit all that well into this film. I mean, of course they don't really, but that's probably the point. They are clearly the comic relief and in that regard also typical for Shakespeare.
The equivalent to Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, the childhood friends of Hamlet.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed them a lot. Not only do I now want to check out all the Salman movies they were watching, but I think the juxtaposition made it all the more dramatic and brutal when they turn against Haider in the end, and how they end up after all.
Again captured in beautiful imagery with the blood in the snow. It's also a very raw and archaic scene when Haider goes after the Salmans. This whole theme of revenge embedded in the ongoing conflict between India and Pakistan, it's very appropriate and fitting, and it looms over every scene in this movie.
It does, but honestly, it could have been handled a little bit more clearly. The inner struggle of Haider wasn't always understandable for me. For a long time I thought that the movie portrayed him as someone who wouldn't have a big problem in seeking revenge. From the get-go he didn't have any positive relationship to his uncle. The scene where he witnesses the interactions between his mother and his uncle in secret when he's returning home after all these years is great. But it also instantly poses him against the two of them.
I thought so too, but it works if you go with the Shakespearean flow. I know it always sounds like a cheap excuse if a movie can't explain something, but is based on a typical tragic story, but Haider always seemed like a rather fragile, emotionally unstable person. Doesn't matter if he's right or wrong, he just can't understand how somebody's able to even laugh while his father is missing. And I think through the flashbacks we understand what kind of profound connection he had with his father.
I get that, but still it was a bit incomprehensible for me why it took him so long to approach his revenge. But maybe if we treat it in a more realistic fashion, it's believable. After all, who would just go and kill his uncle?
Exactly, and also this is the kind of drama, the kind of tragedy that I want to have this long drawn out narration. It weighs heavier in the end. These are big themes, and not only through the normal spoken dialogue, but also through the songs. Things get pushed forward towards a dramatic and spectacular ending.
The song and dance sequences, there are three big ones in the film. And not only is each of them captivating and executed with a lot of style and passion, they are also pushing the format and the conventions of Indian cinema. Only one of the three involves a more classic love story, the one between Haider and Ashia. But how their love, passion and also lust for each other is displayed went further than what is normally shown in Indian movies.
The level of intimacy or just a simple aspect of how long the film is showing a passionate kiss. It's a really erotic sequence that we don't even see anymore in most American movies nowadays.
True, the second big song and dance sequence takes place at the wedding of Haider's mother, Ghazala, and his uncle Khurram. It's an absolutely crucial moment in the film, and unlike many other song and dance sequences in Indian movies, it is integral to the story.
It is also not as dreamlike and surreal as other song and dance sequences because it unfolds as this performance within the wedding festivities.
And it also incorporates dozens of reaction shots of the audience who is watching Haider's presentation, which is of course a fierce accusation, because he knows what really happened to his father, and so do the people whose reactions we are exposed to. Ghazala, Kuram, but also Ashia and her father Pervez. And of course, we as the audience also already know the truth.
The tension is really high and Haider's pent-up emotions seem to boil over at any moment. And you never know when or if he's ready to strike against Kuram. And that makes it even more gripping.
The last song and dance sequence, which then evolves into the grand and also bloody finale, is the one at the cemetery. This one might be the most unique and it's a pure delight. We hear and see how shovels are pushed into the snow-covered ground, and immediately we recognize that there's a rhythm to it. And I instantly thought, please let this be another song and dance sequence. How great of a setting this would be. And it is.
Yes, interesting about this one is that none of the main characters are involved in it at first. Instead we watch and listen to some old graveyard keepers and a little boy.
It's a very atmospheric and also kind of dark humoured build-up to the final confrontation of our main characters, and it beautifully sets the stage.
And I love the finale, and it's gruesome. And by the way, I also love the background score that was also composed by Vishal Bhardwaj. The main theme is so haunting, I'm still humming it. Haider is a great movie.
It really is, but I'd say you'd like it more than I do.
Yeah, top 10 or even top 5 material for me when it comes to the Indian movies that we've seen so far.
Nice, so you can have this one. What would we say in German about Haider?
Haider ist ein großartiger Film und ohne Zweifel die beste Shakespeare-Adaption von Vishal Bhardwaj. Hier stimmt fast alles. Tiefe Charaktere, tolle Schauspieler, hervorragende Musik und Songs, eine eindrucksvolle Atmosphäre und alles eingebettet in ein beunruhigendes und tragisches Kapitel der Menschheitsgeschichte, das leider immer noch nicht beendet ist.
I give Haider 8 out of 10. It's more like 8.1, but I don't do that.
For me, it's 9 out of 10. It's more like 8.9, but I don't do that either.
I didn't think that I someday miss your trivia. Anyway, what are your thoughts about Haider? Leave a comment and hit me up on Twitter, Instagram and Letterboxd simply at the Jimmy Cage.
And you can hit me up on Twitter at the Buddymeister. Now, let's dig a grave and get some rest.
Okay. You can also find our newly launched Patreon at patreon.com/thejimmycage to get extra content and ways to participate even more in our exploration of Indian cinema. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all we have to tell.